Have you ever heard about a project so big, so ambitious, it sounds like it could change everything for a whole region? Well, today, we're talking about one of those. It kind of popped up out of nowhere, was praised as this incredible game changer, and then it just got weird. We're going to unpack the very strange story of the Grace Refinery project.
So, the whole story kicks off with this number, $5 billion. And yeah, that's billion with a B. This wasn't just a casual investment. No, this was supposed to be the single biggest investment in the entire history of Punjab, which, is Pakistan's most populated province. A number like that, it gets your attention. It screams transformation.
Right? With that much money and all that hype, you'd think there'd be this huge industrial complex humming along today. But that's the mystery, isn't it? This massive promise was made all the way back in 2016. So the real question is, what on earth happened to it? Where is it?
Okay, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to go back to the very beginning. Let's rewind the clock to July 2016. The business world is absolutely buzzing about this supposedly massive deal that's just been signed.
So here's the official story. A big document, a memorandum of understanding, an MOU gets signed. On one side of the table, you have a government agency, the Punjab Board of Investment and Trade, and on the other, a company called Grace Refinery Limited. The plan? Build a state-of-the-art oil refinery in Kot Addu. I mean, on paper, it looked fantastic.
And the promises that came with it were just huge. We're talking about a facility that could process 220,000 barrels of oil every single day. That would have been a massive boost for the country. It was also supposed to create somewhere between 50 and 70,000 jobs, and the goal was to seriously cut down on how much oil Pakistan had to import. To top it all off, it was going to be the first refinery in the country with super advanced clean Euro-V technology, a real leap into the future.
But here's where things start to get a little suspicious. Almost as soon as the celebratory headlines hit the newsstands, the questions started popping up. The ink on that big agreement was barely dry, and people were already starting to poke some pretty big holes in the story.
And you could see this disconnect almost immediately. On one hand, you had all the official hype, but on the other, you had analysts asking some really basic but really important questions, like, who even is Grace Refinery? Why is their CEO from the airline and banking industries, not oil and gas? And maybe the biggest head-scratcher of all, why was the price tag $5 billion when a refinery of that size usually costs about $2 or $3 billion? It didn't make any sense.
And it wasn't just the experts who were skeptical. This is a real comment from a reader on a major news website, posted literally the same day the story broke. Everyday people were pointing out that the company had a flimsy one-page website that looked like it was thrown together yesterday. The most fundamental questions, where's the money from, what have you done before, seemed to be completely ignored.
So, this leads us right to the absolute core of the mystery, the company itself. All the red flags, all the questions, they all pointed in one direction. Just who in the world was Grace Refinery Limited?
Well, trying to figure that out was like chasing a ghost. The official descriptions were all over the place. One minute, it's an international petrochemical company. The next, it's backed by some venture capitalists from the US. Oh, wait, maybe it's linked to a firm in Dubai. But whenever anyone tried to actually, verify any of this, nothing. They hit a complete brick wall. No public records, no history, zero information to back up a $5 billion company.
And looking at the leadership team didn't help clear things up. The CEO, Uzma Bashir, had a resume with experience at the national airline and a big bank. I mean, those are respectable jobs for sure, but they have absolutely nothing to do with the incredibly complex business of refining oil. The chairman was just vaguely described as the leader of some venture capital group, and the company itself, zero track record. It was a huge, glaring red flag.
So, with all these doubts swirling around the company, the next logical question was, well, what about the project itself? Forget the paperwork for a second. Was anything actually happening on the ground?
This timeline really tells the whole story, doesn't it? After that big announcement in July 2016, there was supposed to be a groundbreaking ceremony that November. Well, that never happened. Then, the whole refinery was supposed to be finished and running sometime between 2019 and 2021. Those years came and they went. And here we are today, and the project is, well, it's exactly where it started. Dormant.
So yeah, the simple, straightforward answer to our big question is this. The refinery was never built. Not a single foundation was poured, the land wasn't developed, those thousands of jobs never created, the $5 billion promise completely evaporated.
So what's the lesson here? What do we take away from this whole thing? The story of Grace Refinery isn't just about one project that didn't happen. It's actually a really important lesson about how we should think about these huge investment announcements.
And this, right here, is the key to the whole puzzle. A Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, sounds super official and important, but, and this is a big but, it is not a legally binding contract. Think of it more like a very formal handshake. It's a piece of paper that says, hey, we both intend to do this thing, but there's no legal teeth to force anyone to actually follow through. It's a promise, not a guarantee.
And that's really the legacy of this whole saga. It's a perfect cautionary tale. It shows us that there is a massive, massive gap between signing a document that gets everyone excited and generates headlines and doing the actual hard work of turning that vision into a real, concrete thing.
Which kind of leaves us with one final and pretty important question to think about. The next time you see a news story about some multi-billion-dollar MOU being signed, it's worth taking a step back and asking, is this the real deal? Or is this just another big, ambitious promise that's destined to live forever, only on paper?